comedy was often the terrain in which black comedians were able to soft pedal, if you will, the issues of race and diversity and also segregation and white supremacy. The thinking was that if you could make white folks laugh at how ridiculous and absurd racism was, you'd be able to reach them not only in their hearts, but also politically.
And then February the 22nd is a rough day for me because that's George Washington's birthday. And I just don't like celebrating the birthday of a slave master. So they closed my school down when I was a child. I used to break into school every 22nd and study all day.
No black comedian was more successful in navigating the challenges of living in a segregated world and performing to a white public than Dick Gregory. At the height of his fame in the 1960s, Dick Gregory was the most highly successful, most highly paid black comedian performing in the United States. He was the first black comedian to perform at the Playboy Club. In fact, when you think about the success of folks like Bill Cosby and Richard Pryor, who were both contemporaries of Dick Gregory, but also folks who come later like Eddie Murphy and Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock and Kevin Hart, none of those folks could have had the careers that they had without the success of someone like Dick Gregory. But Dick Gregory wasn't just about making folks laugh. He wasn't just about telling the jokes. He was someone who decided very early in his career that he would have a real commitment to issues of social justice, and particularly the civil rights movement. He was a good friend of Medgar Evers, who was the leader of the NAACP in the state of Mississippi. In fact, he was with Medgar Evers the day that Medgar Evers was gunned down in front of his home. He was a supporter of the civil rights movement through organizations like SCLC and SNCC, SNCC, a tremendous supporter of figures like Malcolm X and also Martin Luther King. And at the height of his popularity, he gave up what was a very lucrative stand-up career to be able to engage in social justice. And not only was he committed to social justice in the context of the United States, he also used it to talk about prison abolishment. He also used it to talk about apartheid in South Africa. He was a great example of someone who was willing to give up the fame and the fortune because he was committed to things that were much larger.